In the early hours of January 3, 2026, the United States military launched Operation Absolute Resolve, carrying out precision strikes on Venezuela's capital, Caracas. The operation resulted in the capture of President Nicolás Maduro and his wife, who were taken to New York to face federal charges tied to narco-terrorism and other crimes. Footage of the mission shows a special operations raid against a dictatorship backed by a million-strong military. Yet Venezuela's entire defense system was paralyzed without the loss of a single U.S. soldier or the damage of any aircraft. Maduro reportedly did not even have time to change out of his pajamas before being arrested. The scene played out like a Hollywood blockbuster, stunning audiences worldwide. Under Maduro's rule, Venezuela suffered a catastrophic economic collapse marked by hyperinflation and prolonged shortages of basic necessities. His government became infamous for election manipulation, food scarcity, and widespread human rights abuses. News of Maduro's capture was met with overwhelming joy among Venezuelans. Many wept openly, celebrating what they saw as liberation. Trump's decisive action, supporters said, freed millions from authoritarian rule and removed a major threat to U.S. security. This moment, they believe, will be remembered in history. Across Venezuela, people knelt and cried, thanking Trump and the United States for ending Maduro's regime. Statues and images of Maduro were burned spontaneously. Crowds chanted for freedom. Fireworks filled the sky, and tears of relief were everywhere. After decades of oppression, hunger, and fear, Venezuela's people felt they were finally free. This, supporters said, was the true will of the people. Chinese netizens reacted strongly. Some commented, "If one day CCP General Secretary Xi Jinping were removed like this, celebrations in China would be even bigger than in Venezuela." On Douyin, videos showing Venezuelans celebrating Maduro's arrest quickly spread. The comment sections, some with more than 11,000 responses, largely expressed support for the Venezuelan people. Many asked, "How many artificial suns are left? When will it be our turn to celebrate?" Others wondered whether such comments would frighten China's leaders. Despite strict censorship on mainland platforms, topics like Maduro arrested and U.S. captures president alive briefly trended. Netizens expressed shock, with some saying the operation was unbelievably fast, just 1 hour to capture a head of state. Others remarked that anyone closely aligned with the Chinese Communist Party seemed doomed. Many used the event to hint at domestic political questions. Who will be next? Some joked that Maduro had once bragged about using a Huawei phone gifted by Xi Jinping, and that the phone somehow played a role in his capture. Blogger Tian Rui analyzed the situation, arguing that the speed of the operation showed the United States had detailed intelligence on Maduro's movements and acted with precision. He said the event sent a powerful warning to dictators worldwide, especially to China and Xi Jinping, that Washington likely possesses deep intelligence on authoritarian leaders. The collapse of Venezuela's dictatorship carries broad geopolitical consequences, including for China's authoritarian system. Chinese political analysts note that at least 4 major propaganda narratives now face serious strain: regime stability, internal social cohesion, the push for global multipolarity, and the concept of absolute national sovereignty. The immediate impact of Maduro's arrest, they argue, is that China's long-promoted model of dictatorship and so-called system advantages are facing a collective failure. Japanese media figure Akio Yaita wrote on X, "This sends a clear message. When the democratic camp is truly determined, authoritarian regimes are not invincible." The psychological impact on Beijing, Moscow, and Pyongyang is far greater than any official statement. Prominent Chinese scholar Wu Guanzhong said the event deeply shocked CCP leadership, forcing them to confront the reality of U.S. military power. Whether Beijing will adjust its stance toward Washington, he said, remains to be seen. Political commentator Tai Shikun added that for China's leadership and Russia's Vladimir Putin, the incident is a serious wake-up call. While they may condemn it publicly, Privately, they will reassess their own vulnerabilities and will not underestimate Trump's influence. Tai asked bluntly, if Trump had been in office, would Putin have dared to invade Ukraine? He also recalled Trump's 2024 campaign warning to Xi Jinping that an invasion of Taiwan would bring devastating consequences. Tai believes that, at least for now, the Taiwan Strait situation has stabilized and the prospect of military unification is largely off the table. Maduro's arrest sends another key signal. It highlights the decisive role of external intervention in regime change. The CCP has long argued that political change is driven mainly by internal social contradictions. Analyst Kai Yun counters that in highly centralized states reliant on police and military control, mass resistance is extremely difficult to ignite. Venezuela itself had not seen sustained large-scale protests like those in Iran. Trump had appeared to maintain workable relations with the CCP, but his precision strikes against global proxies such as Iran and Venezuela shattered Beijing's vision of a community of shared future for mankind. Just days earlier, China and Venezuela had reaffirmed closer cooperation in a multipolar world. On January 2nd, Maduro posted photos of meeting a CCP delegation, calling it a pleasant discussion with Xi Jinping's envoy and emphasizing the brotherly bond between China and Venezuela. NBC reported that if this meeting was meant to send a signal to Washington, it failed completely. Trump's capture of Maduro sent Beijing a clear message. The Western Hemisphere is not China's sphere of influence. On January 3rd, Trump stated at Mar-a-Lago that the U.S. would temporarily oversee Venezuela until a safe and orderly transition of power could be secured. Tai commented that Trump's actions were never empty talk. Quietly, he dismantled the CCP's peripheral allies and removed its global proxies, dealing a major blow to Xi Jinping's multipolar ambitions. These anti-American proxies, Tai argued, had caused the U.S. persistent problems, including drug trafficking and illegal migration from Venezuela. With the Venezuelan issue resolved, South American anti-U.S. forces may now fall silent. If Trump also resolves challenges involving Iran and North Korea, the global order could once again tilt decisively toward U.S. leadership. Tai Shikun also warned China-Russia-aligned circles not to grow arrogant. The U.S., he said, has not lost its capacity for global leadership. Wu Guanzhong added that the U.S. and China hold fundamentally opposing worldviews. The CCP's shared future for mankind narrative, he argued, is riddled with contradictions and lacks genuine international credibility. By suppressing democracy and freedom through a party-state system, China is moving against historical trends, risking deeper international isolation. Experts conclude that this event delivers a severe blow to the CCP's long-used sovereignty narrative. The CCP's particular definition of sovereignty has gradually become a key instrument for both domestic repression and shaping the external order. Phrases such as sovereignty above human rights and defending national sovereignty are repeatedly used to justify its actions. The large-scale military drills conducted around Taiwan at the end of the year were also framed as measures to safeguard sovereignty. Likewise, after the U.S. captured Maduro, the CCP's Ministry of Foreign Affairs once again invoked the sovereignty argument on the evening of January 3rd, accusing the United States of violating international law and demanding that it stop infringing on the sovereignty and security of other nations. Commentator Akio Yayita wrote on X that if the international community continues to treat non-interference in internal affairs as the highest principle, it effectively gives dictators permission to oppress their populations and spread chaos under the banner of sovereignty. He warned that when evil forces weaponize systems, laws, and information warfare, responding only with moral appeals is nothing more than self-deception. Democracy advocate Wei Jingqing also pointed out that so-called international law is merely a reference framework. It lacks authority granted by the people or nations and has no real enforcement power. In his view, it is essentially a construct created by idealists, yet many mistakenly believe it functions as binding law. Taishenkan further argued that the United Nations principles of non-interference and peaceful coexistence may appear fair on the surface, but in reality they are deeply harmful. These principles give dictators free rein to suppress their own citizens and export conflict without facing intervention. The UN, he said, has become completely paralyzed, doing little more than covering up problems. If the United States does not step in, there is no force capable of stopping dictators. Once in power, they rule until death, leaving behind disorder and war. Taishenkan emphasized that Venezuela possesses the world's largest oil reserves, yet its people struggle to maintain even the most basic standard of living. This corrupt dictatorship, cloaked in the language of socialism, has brought unimaginable suffering. He argued that the U.S. must assume its special responsibility as the world's police. Recently, foreign media interviewed 3 mainland Chinese individuals from different backgrounds: a judicial insider, a political system insider, and an ordinary citizen. Despite their different identities, all expressed shock, excitement, and renewed hope. Maduro's fall was not only a victory for the Venezuelan people, it also showed many Chinese that dictatorships are not invincible, inspiring hope that the CCP could one day face the same fate. A judicial insider using the pseudonym Yang Ming learned of the event through a VPN and described himself as completely stunned. Capturing a sitting president in just over an hour, he said, was almost unimaginable. To him, it demonstrated the Trump administration's determination and efficiency. Once a target was identified, there was no hesitation, only decisive action. Yang Ming noted that in recent years, the political situations of the CCP's longtime allies have become increasingly unstable. From last year's September 3rd military parade, to coups in Nepal and parts of Southeast Asia, to escalating protests in Iran in early 2026, and now the dramatic shift in Venezuela, these countries all maintain close ties with the CCP. The collapse of each ally, he said, has been deeply satisfying. Good news keeps arriving, Yang Ming remarked. It shows the authoritarian alliance is falling apart. Domestically, Yang Ming observed that security measures were unusually strict on New Year's Eve, with even highway toll exemptions canceled during the holiday period. He believes this reflects extreme anxiety within the authorities over potential instability. Reduced movement and fewer gatherings reveal their nervousness. Many people, including colleagues around him, are quietly discussing one question: will the CCP be next in 2026? He said expectations are high, with many hoping to witness its downfall. Yang Ming stressed again that Maduro's regime, despite being disguised as socialism, left its people barely surviving in a resource-rich nation. The collapse of this corrupt dictatorship, he warned, should serve as a serious warning to the CCP. The U.S. took action, he said. If the world's police refuse to act, dictators will only grow more reckless. Another political system insider, using the pseudonym Xiao Yi, could not hide his excitement during an interview. When I heard the news, I was thrilled, he said. No one wants to live under dictatorship. Maduro's capture isn't just a win for Venezuela. It's a victory for the entire world. It proves that external intervention can work. From a strategic perspective, Xiao Yi explained that Trump set a modern precedent by neutralizing the leader first. Without massive ground warfare, without endless casualties among soldiers and civilians, he ended what could have become a prolonged conflict with precision, he said. This approach, he added, reflects the wisdom of an ancient Chinese saying, executed in a more civilized and efficient way. Trump is truly a great leader. He revealed that although the news was partially censored, state media still reported it quietly, unable to completely suppress the story. Many within the system are privately discussing it, and senior officials are likely urgently studying how to prevent similar decapitation strikes. Meetings are almost certainly underway to assess the safety of top leaders. At the same time, this has made one thing clear. Dictators are not untouchable. Zhao Yi estimated that the vast majority of Chinese people would welcome similar events. People are exhausted by oppression, economic decline, and constant propaganda. If dictatorship could end peacefully without harming ordinary citizens, he said, that would be the best possible outcome. The Maduro incident has given people hope. An ordinary mainland Chinese citizen using the pseudonym Li Hao also expressed excitement after watching related videos online. "This is great news," he said. "Venezuela is finally free. People are celebrating across the country. Seeing Maduro and his wife captured alive was deeply satisfying." "When will we Chinese experience liberation like this?" he asked. Li Hao lamented China's current situation, saying people no longer want to live under CCP rule. The economy is stagnant, living costs are unbearable, unemployment is severe, and poverty is widespread. Yet the authorities continue to worsen conditions by selling off resources, suppressing dissent, and exporting instability. "The CCP will eventually collapse," he said. "It's despised by the people, and no one genuinely supports it." He also pointed out that Maduro's regime had long been accused of drug trafficking and corruption, leading to national collapse, yet Maduro ruled for life. "Isn't this a reflection of the CCP?" Li Hao asked. "If the people of Iran and Venezuela can bravely take to the streets, why can't we Chinese? As long as we unite, the CCP's end is not far away." Li Hao called on more people to awaken. Maduro's capture proves that the U.S. will not stand aside while dictators destabilize the world. When external pressure aligns with internal awakening, real change becomes possible. Waiting is no longer an option. All interviewees agreed that this event represents a major deterrent to the CCP. It shatters the narrative of sovereignty above all else and absolute non-interference. It also demonstrates that external intervention can be decisive in highly centralized regimes. Most importantly, it has reignited hope among the Chinese people. Dictatorship is not permanent, and change may arrive sooner than expected. The year 2026 is shaping up to be extraordinary. The stunning downfall of Venezuela, a former close ally of the CCP, has clearly unnerved Beijing. Leaders understand that dramatic shifts in authoritarian states are contagious, much like the Eastern European revolutions of the late 1980s and early 1990s that led to the collapse of the Soviet Union. Maduro's capture is not merely Venezuela's liberation. It signals the beginning of a broader counteroffensive by the global democratic camp. The CCP's end may come faster than anyone anticipates.